Good morning. Welcome to Joy News Desk. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Coming up this morning, fresh pressure on President Akufo-Addo to assent to the controversial Sexual and Human Rights and Family Value Bill. There is more as the Methodist Church of Ghana hints of plans to meet with the president over the issue.
It's unanimous that Ghanaians are not in for any LGBTQ.
Former Deputy Attorney General Dr. Ayine accused Attorney General Godfrey Yeboah-Dame of unethical behavior after the AG got the Supreme Court to expedite hearing on the injunction application against the approval of ministers.
The application clearly was frivolous, and there ought not to be any manipulation of what went on in court. Even Parliament itself was opposed to the application.
We have details of a stern response from the Attorney General, who is accusing the NDC of gross ignorance about how the courts work. And 15-year jail term for ministers of state whose conduct results in the payment of judgment debt with compound interest as the amended contract law comes into effect.
Seeking to cure situations where state officials enter into judgments on behalf, or enter into contract on behalf of the state or the republic, and in the body or content of this contract, you have clauses relating to the payment of compound interest in default or in breach of the contract.
And in today's episode of Joy News' Filth Exhibition series, we'll take you to the Aladuna community here in the Greater Accra region, where residents have converted an open drain into a waste dumping site. Many thanks for choosing us. Do stay for details. Members of the Locked Up Investment Holders Forum have today clashed with security at the Finance Ministry as personnel prevent the protesters' entry into the ministry. The group marched the Finance Ministry after meeting Governor of the Bank of Ghana to deliberate over how to retrieve their monies locked up with some financial houses and microfinance companies. My colleague James Aveji has all the drama in the following report.
This morning, members of the Locked Up Investment Forum have actually hit the street to protest, to put pressure on the Bank of Ghana to help retrieve their locked up funds with some financial houses and savings and loan companies across the country. These are persons who have invested with corporate finance entities, some even invested with church corporate entities. All of them are saying that their monies over the period have been locked up with those entities without being able to retrieve them. They started a walk actually from the premises of the NDK Financial Company around the Accra Sports Stadium and heading towards the Bank of Ghana to present their petition to Governor of the BOG. And so that's what is happening. If you look on some of the placards, they have the Bank of Ghana, don't kill investors with your poor supervision. Others are saying that the Bank of Ghana should wake up and do its job. Others say we want our money back. We worked for it. We can try and have a conversation with some of them to know what their plight are. I mean, we would want to have a conversation with you. Tell us about your own situation with this host savings and loan companies and your lockup funds.
To be honest with you, right now I have to take my medication every other day. I can't afford to take it every day. I have to space it out. You can't live comfortably like you have planned to do. And it is not right at all. It is so unfair.
We're going to the BOG to terminate the protest. Why are we here at the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial?
Well, according to the police, they have declared those areas as security zone. You recall that when the minority in Parliament held their protests, they stopped them at some point. And I'm told, the police told me it was at this point that disturb them. So we don't want to force the police to go against their own rule. So we're even going to be at the roadside there, but they realized that the sun is too much. So they pleaded with these people to allow us here so that we can rest under this shade. So,
but was that the original plan?
Yes.
The original plan was for you to come here?
To be at the roadside there, could converge there, and then wait for our leaders to go and come. But now they have allowed us to come inside here so that the sun, we shall be protected by the sun.
Here are some key highlights in that petition and
the proposal, as we have proposed two methods or approaches. Either you give them money, these institutions that are not able to operate, NDK Financial Services, SDC Financial Services, SIC Life Savings and Loans, and Bond Savings and Loans. Give them support. Find some money. We have said that they should be talking to the development partners to allow them to even use part of the stability fund to do this kind of exercise. Give them some money, which can cover about 20% of investors' funds there, so that investors get about 20% of their funds. The rest, we are prepared to convert it into, let's say, a 4 or 3 year bond, and we are also prepared to even convert the balance into equity.
Leadership of the group was dispatched to go into that meeting with the governor. They returned hours later to tell the rest of the team that the BOG has agreed to their proposal.
The conclusion that we had from that meeting is that the Bank of Ghana was prepared to revoke the licenses of these institutions. But they must first be assured by government that government has made provision for the payment of these investors' funds before they revoke, in short. So they are dealing with government for government to provide those monies for that. The government has not been able to do that as of now. So we too, when we go to the minister, that's the message we are going to send to the minister.
The protesters then marched on the street to the finance ministry to meet the minister. But at reaching the ministry, the gates were shut at the protesters, resulting in anger and fury.
Otherwise, you will be coming here every day. Is it your minister who said we shouldn't come, or you are saying what's the authority for you to lock the place? That some people, we are not saying all of us are coming. 10 people are coming to meet the minister because we have written to the minister, and you are saying what? The minister is not, Master. You don't need to be working here. It means you don't even understand organization. You don't understand organization. You shouldn't be here. You should be fired. If I want to meet the minister and it's not there, there should be a human being who will represent the minister. I'm sorry you are employed here. You shouldn't be here because you don't understand. You don't understand organization. To say minister is not there, and so what? The minister is not there. There is nobody in this. I'm announcing this to the whole world.
After the back and forth, some members were allowed in. They came back minutes later to inform the media that they couldn't meet the finance minister.
Not Ghanaians, are we not Ghanaians? Are they Ghana for? I am paying for the Ababedu or Bianti Bianche. Yabaha in 2 weeks' time. Oh, my Shay, my Yada Copim say, Yabeji Yesika. Ghana, yes, safe for investment, and yes, safe for investment. Yaji Yesika.
Convener of the group, Dr.Ayine, said they will return to the ministry every 2 weeks until they meet the minister. James Savage's report for Joy News.
I've been joined by Dr. Ayine, who is convener for the locked up bondholders. Grateful for your time. Dr. Ayine, have you finally been able to meet the finance minister?
Thank you. But first, the name is Locked Up Investment Holders.
Great. Thanks for the correction.
These are not bond holders, investment holders.
Great.
Okay. Yes, yesterday we tried, but we couldn't get a minister. I had sent a letter to the minister on Friday last week. So I was very surprised that the minister could not arrange for any person at all to be present to receive us. That was unfortunate.
But Let's speak more to it. Are you positive that government has the money to give that go-ahead for the Bank of Ghana to revoke the licenses of these financial institutions and pay you?
Yeah, that is the problem we have now, and that is why there is a need for the minister to be around for us to have this discussion. Bank of Ghana says they are trying to get the government to provide finance to support this revocation. They clearly know that the only thing to be done is to revoke the licenses of these institutions. But if they revoke the licenses, the payment must happen. You recall that a similar thing was done in 2017, 2018. Mind you, this cleanup exercise has not ended. We haven't gotten to the end. We are still in. It is as a result of the cleanup that we are having all these issues. So we haven't brought the cleanup exercise to a complete end. So as it was done 2017, 2018, when government made funds available, and Bank of Ghana revoked the license of these specialized deposit-taking institutions and paid every customer. That is exactly what we are expecting to be done this time around. And so Bank of Ghana is ready to revoke these licenses. But they want to be sure that government has available resources to pay these all customers when the licenses are revoked, to avoid a situation where you revoke and customers are there coming today. Where is our money? Where is our money? Where is our money? It's better to get the money ready before the revocation takes place. So that is the position of the Bank of Ghana. So we were going to discuss this with the minister and also ensure that government does what it can do. We have suggested to government that it should be talking, engaging its development partners. The people know we are in a serious financial mess. So let's discuss with them. We have to resolve all the issues in the financial market so that we can start on a better footing and call ourselves that, yes, now our financial market has become solid. But once people's money are still locked up in that financial market, IMF's talk about financial stability will just be a misnomer. You can't have financial stability when people's money are locked up in the same financial market. So if they want us to have stability in the financial market, then talk to these development partners. They should help us get funds to settle all these lock-up investors so that we can now talk about financial stability. So we're going to have a discussion with the minister about this. And unfortunately, the whole place we were told there was not a single officer who was capable of meeting us and even taking our message to the minister when the minister is back. So that is where we are.
So where do we go from here, Doc?
Well, we are going to still ensure that we have discussions with the minister. Bank of Ghana is doing it, but you see, Bank of Ghana is not, as an institution, is not the one that is suffering. We as individuals are the ones that are suffering. So if Bank of Ghana is even having discussion with the ministry, they know the effect of the non-payment. But we, whose investments are locked up, feel it. We feel it directly. Direct. Pensioners, sick people are dying. People are dying without access to their money. And even after they have gone, their relatives are not getting this money to even bury them, do a befitting funeral for them. So we feel it. So as Bank of Ghana is talking to the ministry to ensure that they can make provision for that, we are going to be at the forefront also, and also be discussing, engaging with the ministry to let government know and find a way. Talk to the development partners. Let them give us some support for us to clean the market. Finish the cleanup exercise. Then we can start talking about market stability.
Well, Dr. Ayine, will be following up and let's see how this is resolved. Dr. Ayine, I'm grateful this morning. He is the convener for the Locked Up Investment Holders Forum. Let's get on to other stories. A former Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Ayine, is accusing the current Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Godfred Dame-Yeboah, of unethical legal behavior. The accusation follows a revelation by the AG that he got the Supreme Court to expedite hearing on an injunction application against the approval of ministers, which has since been dismissed by the Apex Court. Speaking to Raymond Accra on upfront, the Bolga East MP explained that the process adopted by the Attorney General was to secure an ethical advantage for himself in the case by subverting the rules of procedure.
So I have listened to the Attorney General, and unfortunately, he's not giving a good impression of ethical conduct, as a lawyer. So I'm being very honest and upfront with you on this one. The reason is simply because if you want a court to give an expedited hearing, there is something we call an application for abridgment of time. You file that, you serve it on the other party, okay? And then they can prepare themselves and come to court on the abridged date. Okay? You don't go Nicodemously to the registrar of the court or to the CJ, who is the chief administrator of the judiciary, to ask for the thing to be abridged. Then the registry puts the case, abridges time for you, all right, and then serves notice on the other parties to come to court immediately. That is unethical.
How?
It's grossly unethical. Okay? You are subverting the rules, of procedure in your favor. And that is all. It doesn't matter that you're the Attorney General of the Republic. You need to apply, for abridgment of time and serve notice on the lawyer on the other side, because the lawyer on the other side should not be taken by surprise. It is unethical for you to ambush another lawyer in the conduct of a case.
But in this case, it doesn't matter to serve them. No, the court says when you leave it at the firm.
That was not the hearing notice. For me, my understanding is that it was not the hearing notice for this particular matter. Was it? It was. What do you call it? I don't think it was was it a hearing notice?
That is what he said. That. The court was serving the lawyer, Samoa Papoose Ado's firm, with the hearing notice, but they were not there. So they said we left it there.
Okay. So was it the hearing notice, or it was the application for abridgment of time? So my point is not about the hearing notice.
Okay.
My point is about the abridgment of time. Whether the Attorney General applied for an abridgment of time, or he walked to the registry and say, issue a hearing notice, abridging time for an expedited hearing.
To those who do not understand these legal terms,
yes.
What's the difference anyway?
The difference is that in the case of an abridgment of time application, you file a formal application, all right, before the court.
Okay.
And that application seeks the court's, the exercise of the court's discretion, all right, to bring the hearing of the case forward.
Well, Director of Legal Affairs of the opposition NDC, Dujita Maklo, has criticized the process adopted by the Attorney General as irregular.
This revelation by the Attorney General even makes the concern raised by the NDC even more grievous. Allows the party, as it were, to apply for abridgment of time. If the person so that the matter is so urgent that the hearing of the matter may cause a certain harm or damage, and for that matter prefers expedition, is that you file a formal application. The other party is duly served. Then the parties appear before a panel. The Supreme Court reserve could be one person. The abridgment of time, and they're so minded to abridge time to allow for expeditious hearing. In this case, the Court of Attorney General has never filed any application for abridgment of time.
How do you know this?
It's on record. Where did the Supreme Court to consider the application for abridgment of time?
But in a fairy response, Attorney General and Minister for Justice Godfred Yeboah-Dame told Joy Evans-Mensah on Top Story that the NDC was exhibiting gross ignorance, insisting he did nothing wrong by getting the court to hear the case expeditiously.
Agreement of time does not even arise at all. Edith does not even understand the workings of the rules of court. An application for agreement of time for hearing the matter comes in when you have time, a certain or fixed time, and you seek to bring the date for it. That is when you are breaking the time, you are bringing it for it. Where no date has been fixed, it is absolutely the duty of the matter to cause the matter to be fixed for hearing. So I certainly wrote a letter to her ladyship and asked any date for hearing. That's a letter on record, as is done by all practitioners where they are sought. All practitioners who know the workings of rules of court. Indeed, I have done this many, many times. Even recently in the Supreme Court case 2011. That time, Edwin Tamaklo was my student in Ghana School of Law. It's a matter of record. I applied for an expert hearing of this famous Run for France matter. So clearly, when the NDC will speak this way, it shows a total lack of understanding or total ignorance about the rules of court.
When did you write this letter?
I wrote the letter on Monday. It's a matter, I can give you a copy tomorrow.
Meanwhile, lawyer for Roxton Nelson Dafiamakponi Kpapo Somoa Ado has refuted the account of a Supreme Court bailiff that he rebutted an attempt to serve on him some court process. He describes the claims of the bailiff as barefaced lies.
It's quite unfortunate that a bailiff of the court would, on oath, tell a barefaced lie to the court. Now, this is the narration of events. I received a call, and luckily I have the record from the bailiff of the court at 10:50 a.m. yesterday. I was not in Accra at that particular moment. I told him that he should take the number of Honorable Roxton and ensure that he delivers the process to him. That was the last time I dealt with the bailiff. Now, this bailiff later on apparently goes to my office and says that identifies himself at the front desk and says he's a bailiff of the court and that he has a process to serve. He takes out the process and then puts it on the table. The secretary signed the process with my name on it and told him that, I wasn't in the office, but if he could wait and let me sign things when I came or when he got in contact with me. He said he wanted to call his boss and confirm whether that should be what he should do. That was the last time anybody heard of. Luckily, we have a CCTV system in our office with an audio capacity. So we have him on CCTV, and I'll put the CCTV out.
And you have him on
Whatever
CCTV?
he said was a blatant lie.
Presiding Bishop of the Methodist Church of Ghana, Most Reverend Dr. Paul Kwabena Boafo, has indicated plans to meet with President Akufo-Addo regarding his delay in assenting to the Anti-LGBTQ Bill. Disagreements between the President and the Speaker of Parliament still persist, with the President citing a pending court case as a reason for his refusal to accept the transmission of the bill. The Speaker of Parliament has criticized this stance, saying it undermines the legislative process. But Most Reverend Dr. Paul Kwabena Boafo is optimistic the anti-gay bill will be approved after their meeting with the President.
We all started this journey together, and we sent our proposals to the body that is to take our laws and see to what is good for us as a nation. The churches, the mosque, the traditional rulers, we all came together. We sent our proposals to them, and we asked that they should look at it. This is the voice of Ghanaians, and they have spoken, and it is unanimous that Ghanaians are not in for any LGBTQ, and that is it. And that is our stand, and we still stand by it. Now we are praying that the President will also give his assent to it, and so that it becomes what Ghanaians have asked for. We are also planning to come up with a paper so that we are planning to meet the President at the Jubilee House, so that we can all think about the best way to go on this thing. And there are other things which maybe I need not disclose here.
He also cautioned against abusive language during this campaign period. Most Reverend Dr. Paul Kwabena said all hands must be on deck to protect the peace we enjoy as a country, addressing the annual Eastern News Conference here in Accra.
As we approach the general elections in December 2024, let us all resolve to eschew tendencies that will tend to compromise the peace of the country before, during, and after the elections. In that regard, it is incumbent upon all the stakeholders in the process to be minded in their duty to the state. To the Electoral Commission, they must be manifestly seen to be a fair and neutral umpire in all the processes leading to, during, and importantly, after the elections. To the security personnel, they should be professional and impartial judges to engender trust in the electoral process. To our political parties and independent candidates, they should be measured in their communication and engagement, embracing inclusive language and avoiding intemperate, abusive, and offensive language in their campaigns. To the media, as always, we will call on you because you are very significant and play a role. You have to avoid sensational reportage, providing and using your platforms to create avenues for peace. In the spirit of peace.
Away from that, ministers of state whose conduct results in the payment of judgment debt with compound interest could be jailed between 10 and 15 years under the amended contract law now in effect. The Contract Amendment Act 2023, Act 1114, sponsored by the Attorney General and Minister for Justice Godfred Yeboah-Dame, was passed in Parliament in 2023 and presented to the President Akufo-Addo on March 5 for assent. It seeks to curb the tendency on the part of public officers to enter into contracts with high rates of interest, especially compound interest, which has resulted in huge financial losses to the state. Deputy Attorney General Alfred Yeboah tells my colleague Elton Bobi on the polls that the payment of such debt could cripple the finances of the country.
We may have instances where state officers they become complicit. I may have instances where people may also, we all live in this country where somewhere 2010, 2011, we spoke about create loot and share, right, where some officers may also just want to collude with others, create some scenarios, go to court, get judgments, and then share the judgment booty.
So this amendment that you've done, what is it seeking to cure?
Now, it's seeking to cure situations where state officials enter into judgments on behalf, enter into contract on behalf of the state or the republic. And in the body or content of this contract, you have clauses relating to the payment of compound interest in default or in breach of the contract. A compound interest where you have interest on interest.
Interest on interest.
On interest. So if the first year is 1,000 Ghana is on 10,000, it will mean that if we're working the second month, you won't work it on 100,000, but you work it on 110,000. So the interest will go, the rate will go up. So that's our compound. So at the end of the day, you may even have 1,000 Ghana cedis. Simple interest for 12 months, 10%. You may end up paying, for example, 2,200 Ghana cedis because it's 1,200 they're going to add. But in instance where if it's compound interest, you may even pay more. Sometimes 100,000, 15,000, 20,000, depending on the rate. But there is a law. Before I come to, there's a law in Ghana when it comes to the award of interest, CI 52. In that law, when the court decrees judgment in your favor and you pray for judgment, the rule is that the court will award simple interest unless there is a provision in your contract to the contrary that you have agreed that the court should award compound interest. It is to cure this that we are saying that if you are acting on behalf of the state, our position is that for every contract, it should be simple interest
and not compound.
Not compound. Right. So if you are dealing with us and you think that you are not interested in simple interest, then you better stop. You can go and deal with other countries, because we know that if care is not taken and rely on compound interest and there are defaults, you get to a point where the 10 trillion, Ghana was our total GDP.
Yeah, I mean, that is actually...
That's it. But just one case claiming 10 trillion out of compound interest. Now, if you take the Act 114, there are various provisions. The first one is it seeks to amend Section 17 of the Contracts Act. And it's now including certain clauses or certain sections. One of them being who can have the authority or who has the authority to sign contracts on behalf of the Republic. It's detailed in this act.
And who has the authority under this act?
Now, the minister, the sector minister in charge of that sector. For example, if it's about roads and the contracts about roads, it should be the roads minister.
Previously, it wasn't like that?
Previously, the minister could do it.
Right.
Other officers could, but we just want to be very specific.
That the minister has the final authority
he has
to sign such contract on behalf of the state.
Yes. Or the minister may authorize someone to do it.
The Public Affairs Manager of Cocoa Board, Fifi Boafo, has attributed a decline in production to adverse weather conditions. According to him, the significant impact of weather patterns on cocoa cultivation, including heavy rainfall at the start of the cocoa season, is a primary concern. While acknowledging that rainfall is essential for cocoa production, he notes the excessive precipitation experienced this season hindered the fruiting process, thus reducing the expected harvest.
Present, it is estimated that we will not have enough cocoa beans for the chocolate industry. And that is why you see the current prices we are experiencing in the market. So it is not Ghana problem per se, it's the world cocoa. And the major contributory factor is the weather situation we've experienced this cocoa season. It started with heavy rainfall, even though, yes, you need some amount of rainfall in order to have your production. But it started with very heavy rainfall. It affected the cocoa, and then the time we were supposed to have the cherries and then the fruiting period.
And on today's episode of Joy News' series on Filth Exhibition, we'll turn our attention to the Aladuna community, where residents use an open drain as a makeshift dumping site for all manner of waste. My colleague Sweetie Abochi has been interacting with some residents who have lived close to the open drainage for years. They say the situation is a glaring reminder of government's neglect.
Nestled between Nima and Newtown, with a particular focus on the settlements adjacent to the residence of President Akufo-Addo, human dignity collides with desperation. This is the Aladuna community, where approximately 500 people call an open gutter their makeshift waste disposal site. For Amagbeto, a resident of 2 decades, it's a daily reminder of their struggles with waste management and the stinging neglect by government. He speaks of an absence of proper waste management infrastructure with a heavy heart.
Everybody put rubbish in the gutter. Even I'm fighting with people here. They come and shit here all the time. Every night they came and put over the nafojira fia shai. Alaba enye nuika edenafu enyo na nwa. Tamaro na dogo na kwa mata gadu no. When you watch the forward there, you can watch it there. The Kaya Yo people, they always come there over na Masan and the other side. Nova New Kata Kocho Malatai. Their pampers, their everything, they dump it to the gutter there. They don't have any place to dump it. So they just put it inside. So for me to mark the Kukuna government, Ado Agbina Miap Nunola Badi, the area man no be no saver, no jagbagba. But what the Belonu Akona Amoyokata area. Umaga Globo Yoho Galao Sio. Nobo Yoho Galao Shia, a Fudega.
But it's not just the stench of refuse that hangs heavy in the air. Accra's recurring floods, a menacing spectre, threaten to wash away what little semblance of stability they cling to. As the rains draw near, one can almost feel the collective anxiety gripping the community, a community already scarred by the memory of the devastating June 3rd flood disaster.
June 3rd, Crampomila won me them. June 3rd, I so to no. Enya asem ketwa. Me mani nyina ye fridge e bibia say ye. If you come in na flower, crampo water the ebru machine ejuma no. And also say ye. June 3rd ye line wo ye dem sisi a. Aban bia meboa ye obibie mu. Nti so to de enye izekura wa ha sei. Etumi yiri sa na aba ye dem woni nyina. Ne abobo ye nyama. Ebi wane ye de ye mat to fridge no so. Gota no. Ye tu nsuo gum. Ye tu bola sugum. Ni de no kra de meka. Ese bola bie ni ase. Container bie ni ha. Bola ka mbe fa ase. Nti ye de ne yesesa ye bola ye de begu yin. Sanka bola ka ba ye de begu bola ka nim. Ese bola ka bia ma nti ye de begu gotem. Ebi wa ye de begu payment no so ne ya hye. Ye hye ani ya pregu gotenim. Me ni aban na eben. Aban otimi wini area mimi to downstairs abanso to downstairs me ne ne sheben me fa ase amakwa aba ha nti aban to me ya baabi na waja ha to on mu ne that me say onju ya ho.
Living so precariously close to the gutter with no proper waste management system in sight, Ejewe's voice trembled as she recalled the horrors endured. Dosu, another resident here at Aladuna, his tone tinged with frustration and righteous anger, joined in the conversation to demand government to give them some answers. Where are the funds allocated for the sanitation initiatives? Because they haven't seen any.
Ebia nso yi wa sa June 4 June 3 ja nso ni nyina ye brewa ha ye gota ha kra ye toilet enje so mo bo hwe mo kro apombo mo se toilet edemu ara national toilet o abani de SMC mbeka be bi kire no kra on ye. That's the number one on ye because ye bre de bia mo fa ye bre ya kan Adum TV.
President Akufo-Addo's pledge to transform Accra into Africa's cleanest city by 2020, later extended by former Sanitation Minister Cecilia Dapa to 2024, now stands as a stark reminder of unfulfilled promises, as slogans like Year of Sanitation, Keeping Ghana Clean agenda, and making Accra the cleanest city fade into obscurity. The reality of filth encroaching upon the cityscape becomes even more glaring. But it's not just about cleaning streets or clearing drains. It's about restoring dignity, reclaiming hope, and honoring the humanity of every individual who calls this Aladuna community home. It's time to hold our leaders accountable and demand tangible action to address the sanitation crisis plaguing our communities. For Joy News, I'm Sweetie Abochi.
And on Tech Thursday, the use of digital devices like smartphones and laptops at the lecture halls has been found to be supporting teaching and learning. Students use their mobile phones, tablets, and laptops for taking notes and taking part in many classroom activities. However, research by the Publishing Studies Department of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology has found lecture hall designs don't encourage the use of digital devices. Love FM's Kwesi Deborah has more for Tech Thursday.
My name is Afenyo-Markin, a fourth-year publishing student specializing in design and illustration. When it comes to machines that we use in class, for my laptop, I'm able to use it for a very long time. It can take a day. It depends on how fully charged it is. All the classes I think that are limited when it comes to sockets, but you'd have to come with an extension, and then it will have to be an extension where multiple people are using your extension as a main source for their extension as well?
My name is Maxela Sitete. I take my laptop and my phone to class during designing. We have courses that it's compulsory to take your laptop or your phone to class so that you can also design or do the activities that we do in class. As much as I would prefer the university's laptop, I still want to use my laptop because it's something that is yours. You know how to operate it, you know how to go about it. Maybe you have some files or some documents saved on it that you would want to work with, but with the university laptop, it means that there will be restrictions. Maybe don't put an external drive inside, don't put this inside. So personally, I would like my laptop because my laptop, I know it's mine. I can do whatever I want with it.
With the proliferation of technology and gadgets and the inability of most institutions to provide access to students in the use of technology, especially digital devices, I saw it as a necessary evil to look at it. Now, if we look at the total population of K University as it stands now, we're around 87,000. And I don't think the university has the means to provide all the required hardware to support teaching and learning. So this was the reason why I tried to look at how bring your own device, the concept of bringing your own device will be of importance to us as an institution, and there's a possible way forward in implementing such a policy. Students had the digital devices, with majority of students having smartphones. A sizable number had laptops. In terms of tablets, that was low, but and the encouragement was students were willing to bring their own device for learning because of the personalization of the devices. For example, if I have my own set of device or my system, the way I have configured it will support my learning, rather than something from, let's say, the university that is like the lab. Maybe I'm used to Mac, the lab, they are using Windows, and I go there and have my own challenges. So the support was there. The challenge was the design of our classrooms, because for you to use your own device means you need a lot of electrical ports. One, the first would be to encourage the use of it, and the university should provide or design the classrooms in such a way that it can support such endeavor.
Let's take a break on Joy News Desk. We'll be back with business. All right, so before we go, Minister for Communications and Digitalizations, Eslo Usekufo, is raising concerns about attacks targeting women in politics. Speaking at the Women in Governance National Dialogue held in Accra, she called for support from women in business and academia for frontline female politicians, noting that the journey can be isolating and challenging. There's more in this report by Zuleiha Noho.
The Women in Governance National Dialogue brings together women from various sectors such as politics, governance, public administration, rights and advocacy organizations to tackle the issue of women's underrepresentation. The primary objective of this year's conference is to address the challenges faced by women in the upcoming 2024 parliamentary and presidential elections in Ghana, and to secure commitments from major political parties to implement inclusive policies that bridge the equity gap. During her speech at the event, convener of the Affirmative Action Bill Coalition, Sheila Menka-Premu, emphasized the need for President Akufo-Addo's government to expedite the passage of the bill before his tenure ends.
We're really hoping that it would have gone for the second reading before Parliament rules, but it hasn't happened. So we are praying that as soon as Parliament resumes, it will be one of the key laws that they'll be looking at, so that it will go through the second reading, then through the consideration stage, and then to the third and final reading. And that this particular Parliament will finish and pass this bill before they rise.
Senior Gender Advisor at UN Women, Efua Asare, called for Ghana to strive for 40 to 50% representation of women in governance.
We need to get everybody, males, females, men, women, boys, girls, to understand that this is a social cause and that we should all mobilize to ensure that this happens. What are our targets and what do we want to see? Of course, we want to see more women in parliament. And with our population dynamics, 51% women, 49% men, we would want to see at least 50% of governance positions and offices occupied by women. Although if even you give us 40%, we will accept it.
Let's take a break on Journey's desk. We'll be back with business.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darrell Kwao. The Ghana Revenue Authority Workers Union has resolved to engage various trade associations and business organizations on a quarterly basis to ascertain challenges faced in complying with the revenue laws. The move is to ensure full compliance by businesses and support the authority in meeting its target. Chairman of the union, Theophilus Kwesi discloses to Joy Business after addressing the 10th National Executive Council meeting in Accra. Here's more in this report.
Meeting is an annual gathering of the Council to deliberate on key matters expected to support their operations. As a revenue agency, the Council resolution on meeting with the trade organizations is aimed at creating a platform for business community to share challenges and concerns about tax handles with members of the authority. Chairman of the union, James Kwesi believes that the association are a critical part of the revenue mobilization drive, hence the move.
That all regional and zonal chairpersons at the regional level should engage the trade associations either monthly or quarterly to pick up their sentiments and relay directly to management. We believe that once we are union and they are also a union, we will speak the same language and we can better carry their sentiments to our top management for easy resolution. So this will be one of the highlights of our resolution to management.
Acting head of suspense regime at the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Fetchin Akoto, believes that there is the need for more effort in order to meet the revenue targets since this is an election year.
You know from our history, this is an election year and the business activities can be slow. And therefore, we need to put in an extra effort to encourage, especially with the areas of tax compliance. You know, people obviously may want to be evasive in an year like this, but we need good strategies to be able to encourage compliance in order for us to be able to meet our revenue target.
The theme for this year's council meeting is transparency and fairness in the tax system as a strategy to enhance revenue mobilization, the role of labor.
Now, over 65% of inclusive insurance is sold through mobile phones. This is according to the National Insurance Commission. Speaking to a media at a workshop organized by the NIC and the United Nations Development Programme, the Acting Commissioner of Insurance, Michael Kofiando, noted that his outfit is poised to increase insurance coverage by developing targeted products to meet the needs of the informal economy.
The workshop was organized by the National Insurance Commission and the United Nations to deliberate on regulatory strategies aimed at including the unserved, vulnerable, or low-income populations with appropriate and affordable insurance products. With over 40 inclusive insurance products covering approximately 40% of lives in the informal sector, the workshop also focused on leveraging technology to improve inclusion and expand coverage. Michael Kofiando is the Acting Commissioner of Insurance.
Insurance, as inherited from the colonial masters, have tended to focus on white and blue collar employees and people who receive salaries and operate bank accounts. But you know, the majority of our people are petty traders. They are farmers, they are masons, they are carpenters. They operate in the informal sector. And so if we leave the insurance the way it is in the conventional space, then most of our people will not have access to insurance.
He details efforts to consolidate gains made in the sector.
The number of products meant for this informal market moved from around 8 in around 2010 to over 40. As we speak, there are over 40 inclusive insurance products on the market now. In terms of lives covered by inclusive insurance, like I said, we've moved from around 5% in 2010 to 29% in 2016. And the last time we did the survey, 2022, was around 40%. A lot has been achieved, and the purpose for today is to look at where the gaps are, where the challenges are, where do we want to be in another 5 or 10 years.
Sukrob Kosh Mukhamedov, Deputy Resident Representative at the United Nations Development Programme, shares the importance of driving inclusive insurance.
All right, that's it for this segment. It's back to you, Aisha.
And that will be it for the bulletin as well. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjournline.com. There's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. See you again at 12.
I don't feel like dancing. I just come to you, we talk, and then we just